All right, hey, what's up, everybody? Your boy Tiny Grouper back at it again with a brand new Marvel Rivals Tierlist. Today, we are going to be ranking none other than each character ultimates. Every character has one, and some are clearly better than most. But that way, let's get into the tier list. As you guys can see, we have 5 tiers. We have game winning, meaning these ults by themselves. Uh, in a 6v6, 5v5, 6v5, most scenarios, you can put the game in a game winning state. And what that means is it helps you either A, capture the point, or stop the convoy, or whatever game mode you may be playing. And it hurts the other team so bad to the point where they either have to use their ults to recover or minimize their losses or even get a chance to come back to the point. So it just really puts the game in a like an irreparable state for the opposing team. Tide changer. It's just shy of game winning, but what it does is it helps you secure the point or stop the convoy, but it may not result in a team wipe or it can, but it doesn't really put the game state in like a overwhelming favorite for your team at that point. But it does help you secure and capture whatever you need to. A threat. A threat is it can be a tide changer or even a game winner, but that's only when it's paired with other alts in probably this tier and higher. But by itself, it doesn't really change the tides or win games. But it is a threat that you have to watch out, and it in very fragile states can be a tide changer or a game winner. Next up, we have ad helps. As the name implies, this is just like a alt that you use because you know it makes the character better by the simple fact of it being an ultimate, but it doesn't really pose a big threat to the enemy team or a threat at all. But it can help you advance the game state somewhat. But if you're using this alt 99% of the times, or maybe even 100% of the times, your team would prefer you to have one of these ults and one of these tiers above here. But it is something, yeah, it helps. Did you even ult, bro? These ults are just horrible and just bad. For one, they're like they have so little impact that a lot of times the enemy team doesn't know you use it, or your own team doesn't even know you used it. It sometimes doesn't even secure you a kill. It's just all around it. It just doesn't help. In some rare cases, you would be better off just using your normal combo or your fighting ability than your ult. That's how a waste of time I feel like some of these are. But enough of explaining. Let's get into these characters. Okay, so starting off with Captain America. Ah, man, I feel like his ult ends up here, and Ed helps. It's not quite as bad as Did He Even Ult, bro, because I don't know if you guys know, the little trail that followed behind him, it can heal enemy teams, and Captain America is already a hard enough character to kill. This makes him a lot harder to kill, but it would be better if it granted him like a major damage buff or something. So yeah, at least could do something with the more survivability. But all in all, it makes him harder to kill, heals teammates, yeah, it helps. Doctor Strange. Doctor Strange, a well timed Doctor Strange ult, you just freeze the enemy team, you unleash the Magik, and if you have your other teammates firing on the team, full team white every single time. Nothing the other team could do about it. They're stunned for like 3 seconds. This is a game winning ult. Groot. Um, I feel like this is the best example of a threat because by itself, yeah, he could put a stone walls behind you, capture the whole team, and do crazy, crazy damage. But by itself, it doesn't really give you a full team wipe. But when you pair that with other ults, like a Moon Knight or even a Namor, you know, you yeah, that's a full team wipe most of the time. But by itself, it's still really good. Not that quite good a threat. Hulk is in the same tier as Captain America. So, albeit he doesn't get the healing ability for the team that Cap does. Maybe that makes Cap just a little bit better. But he gets like 15,000 health. He could stun lock opponents with his ultimate and his ultimate, well, his grab and his ultimate. He bulldozes people off of the point, so you go clear the point. It helps, but it's not really doing anything out of that. It's not really even confirming kills most of the time either. Magneto, it's a threat. It's not a tide changer. It's not a game winner, and it's not as bad as these two here. You could use this to stop uh, defensive ults like Cloak and Dagger and other things of the such. When Punisher is using his turrets or his ultimate, you could then take it up in the ball there, so you could use this to counter many ultimates. So for that reason, that makes it at very least a threat. But it doesn't really kill a lot of opponents. It's like a single kill ult, which stops it from going up here. Penny. Um this can be a threat, right? This can be a threat, but most times it just helps. It just helps. I feel like it's probably one of the better one of these. It falls more in this category because she runs around, she puts a lot of mind, so she helps to get people off the point. Looking at it now, that's what all of these has in common. So yeah, it helps to push people off the point temporarily. She still needs heals because after the initial boost in that health, she starts to die pretty quickly. But all in all, it's not bad, but it's not that good either. Thor. Thor ult. It's not quite a threat because he stays up in the air for so long before he slams his hammer down. But if you're a character without mobility and he is chasing you, he will confirm that kill. But other than that, he's probably gonna confirm maybe 2 kills, maybe 3, sometimes 1, a lot of times none. But same thing, helps clear the point. Gets people moving off the point, confirms 1 or 2 kills, doesn't do anything special to make it that threatening. These I feel like these two are borderline threats, right? And definitely not that bad. Venom, Venom ult by nature is it helps. It's not that much of a threat, especially if you're only playing one tank because his ult is best on tanks because it does I think like percentage based damage, so you get the biggest bang for your buck from attacking tanks. So it definitely adds to the survivability, but as with the nature of this character, it doesn't really help the team as a whole all that much. But it takes the tanks out down, put them in a pretty shaky position. Maybe your team is able to capitalize on it, maybe not. It helps. Black Panther. Black Panther. All right, this way I feel like I'm gonna get flack because I feel like Black Panther has one of the worst ults in the game. Yes, it marks people, and yes, yeah, that's it. It just marks people. That's all it does. It doesn't do that much damage, and it's like you just get like a stronger spare. That's essentially what his ultimate is. You know, he doesn't really get any health or like immunity buffs and stuff, so you still can be picked off. Albeit if you're a Black Panther, you're pretty fast. You're hard to pick off in the first place. But this ult doesn't really you for your team. It doesn't help your team. It helps you, and most times the enemy team they either it's easy to avoid too. On top of that, so it's not. Yeah, it's just not good. His ult is not good. It definitely needs buffs. Black Widow. As with most things, she'll always find herself on the bottom of the tier list. Her ultimate is a plasma burst, in case you guys don't know, and it doesn't one shot. Once again, the sniper is incapable of one shotting, even when so many other ults can. And it slows the team down, and anyone who touches the red puddle around it. It's lackluster, it doesn't kill, and all in all, just bad. as with most things with Black Widow. Hawkeye, on the other hand, is a threat. I call this alt a threat because once you hear "who never miss," you now have after images. So even if you manage to get undercover, you still have that 1.5 to 2 second time when he still could just headshot your shadow, especially if you're a squishy, and you die. Now, now this ult doesn't really. I mean, it can be a tide changer, right? But most other times, more often than not, it finds itself as a threat. It is a threatening ult. It's not that good to change tides, so he's definitely gonna get some picks with it, but not too much other than that. Hela. So now we have Hela. Hela's ult. I don't feel like it's game winning. It definitely is a tide changer though. It definitely can get you team wipes. Definitely moves people off at a point. I don't know if you can. I don't know if it's like a real game winning ult. Nah, I'd put it there in tide changer. Ult's pretty strong. When you get Hella Unleash, it's something that you more often have to wait through than to kill her with because she gets a massive amount of health when she activates that. Hopefully, you have a Doctor Strange on your team that can fly up there and block it for the most part. But all in all, crazy ult, just not really game winning as yet. Iron Fist. Iron Fist ult can be a threat. Iron Fist ult can be a threat because once you hear the Shi Hong Tong, flipping, he's probably in the back line destroying your healers at that point, right? I mean, you still could freeze him, he still could be immune, and he might get 1 or 2 picks, but it's not changing the tides because he only gets so far with his ultimate. After the initial buff and health and stuff he gets, that's when the team is able to capitalize and kill him pretty quickly afterwards. But it's still dangerous. It's still a threat. Something you have to watch out for once you have those voice lines. Iron Man, I don't know if it's blasphemous to put him in the same tier as Hela or not, but initially, when the game still was new, it would be up here, right? It was the strongest out in the game on launch, right? Not to say that I get nerfed or anything, but the players now are a lot smarter. You're finding like a ton of different ways to counter it, whether it be with shields, whether it be with bubbles, whether it be Penny just shooting her web at it to explode it, or people just jumping in the way of it. So, he gets 1 kill as opposed to 6 or 5 or 4 or however many. But still, in the right hands, you spin around, you fling that back line, and you launch that, and you could get that off in time. The maximum pulse is like probably the most iconic um, ultimate voice line in the game, just by sheer nature, the fear that it once put in people and still does, but ultimately not quite game winning. Magic ult is a threat. I feel like it's in the same boat with Iron Fist. Uh, you have Behold Darkchild. She now is destroying probably your healers or your backline or whatever, but she still could be, CC'd and all that other good stuff. So she only can get so far with it. It can be a tide changer, depending on the situation, but more often than not, it's just a threatening out, really good. You know, that's it. Moon Knight. Moon Knight is not quite game winning. He falls more in line with these characters here, in the sense that, especially after the buff, bro, the circle that they show you for the hands doesn't even do it justice because standing right outside the circle still can get you killed because the hands do splash damage. You have minimal time to get out of that radius, it's so big. And he has the onk to even pull people back in once they start to leave. So I feel like it always is here, but after the buff, it like is solidified as a tide changing ultimate. And he gets it so quick on top of that too. So Moon Knight definitely is a tide changer, just shy of game winning. Namor, um, Namor, I would put Namor in. I put him in ad helps. The whale takes so long unless you're like a slow character that just got caught like right in the middle of it. And even then, most of the times they have shields or bubbles to protect themselves with. Doesn't really get any kills. It has to be paired with an ult, like I said, maybe a Groot or something to really do damage. And even then, it's like, you're only really doing big damage on squishies, and they have to be in a certain proximity of that circle. But it helps. It helps. Psylocke ult is a threat. Now, I feel like most people would probably want me to put it up here in Tide Changer, or maybe even up here in Game Winning. But the reason I put it down there is because she only has so much slashes with it, right? It only can handle so many people at a time. Once you go past three, you're really like overextending the ult. And even at three, depending on the three characters you target, you might have been wasting it. This is best at using it on two people, maybe the two healers in the background if they're together, and you can confirm a good kill there. Three is I feel like three is a good ambitious spot to stop at. Four, you're really wasting all. You're putting a bunch of damage on anybody, but you're probably killing one, maybe two people at that point. But just like same thing with here with these four other DPS, you hear it, you gotta look for it, you gotta watch out, or you gotta move. Scarlet Witch. Now after putting a lot of people in Tide Changer or a threat, I feel like this is where I'm gonna get the flack because I believe Scarlet Witch ult is game winning. Right now, we all know the elephant in the room. It takes forever for her to say pure chaos, but once executed right, once given the proper protection, be it from Magneto or she's getting spot healed, you 100% move everybody off point. And you could get big plays and killing like half of the team, four people, five, or maybe even six. It's rare to get six, but it can happen. And it has a wide radius and it is one shot no matter your health or your ultimates you have going on. It's really good. But the only thing that holds it back is the startup time. If it had the startup time in any one of these other ults, best ult in the game, maybe. Spider Man. No, Spider Man. There we go. It helps. You're not really saving it to use it to advance the game state or anything like that. You pretty much pop it the minute you get it. You be like, oh, where's the healers? Where the back line? You go there. You probably wipe two of them. Maybe you even pop it in a 1v1 when it's getting, as he says, sticky. So it helps. It helps him really. Not really much the team, but it's not really that much of a threat. It's not something you really watch out for. It just happens. It's like, all right, yeah, Spider Man out. Yeah, move on. Squirrel Girl. After the buff, Squirrel Girl is officially now a threat because the tracking on it's terrain dependent in a more wide open area. It's nowhere near as effective as it can be, but on tight pinch choke points or inside or indoor maps, bro, that squirrel will bounce off that wall and attack you 5, 6 times back to back within the second. Just whop, 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 whop. So yeah, start to shoot these things now, people. They're officially, as we would call them, a threat. Squirrel Girl, good job. Star Lord. I don't. Is Star Lord a game-winning ult? You know, I think I'm gonna leave him right here in Tide Changer. I think I'm gonna leave him right down there in Tide Changer because it it doesn't last long enough for it to be game winning. Because he shouts legendary. He has a little bit of a start time on it, so most people then take cover. But you're able to confirm like at bare minimum 2 kills with this. You get three, you get four, maybe you can get 5 and 6 sometimes. But more often than not, by the time you kill the first two people, maybe three, the other half of the team or four members of the team have already either A, taken cover, B, killed you because he doesn't get Uh, I believe he doesn't get any extra health or defense in this, and if he does, it's like minimum. He's just as easy to kill as he was before, but he's extremely powerful now. So that's how you can normally confirm 2 to 3 kills off rip with him. But if he had some defense, like like God, you can imagine his ult with like the health of Hela, or even just half that, it'd easily be up here. But because of those holes, we're gonna put it down here in Tide Ginger. Storm. I put that in a threat. It's almost the same thing with Psylocke. You know, the time isn't long enough for you to really kill the whole team, but you do have the ability to go in the back line, terrorize the healers, confirm 2 kills on the healers, maybe a next person, maybe a next DPS, and yeah, you could put the game in a really fragile state with her. So yeah, we're gonna leave her in threat. It's a good out. It's a good out. Next, we have the Punisher. Punisher, I'm going to put up here. Same thing with Starlord. Well, not the same thing with Starlord. I'm just going to put him up here with Starlord. Once you had that judge jury execution line, 100% you're clearing any point. Doesn't matter if these people have shields. Doesn't matter if these people have uh getaway tools. This ult is just it's just amazing. And you could move with it, albeit you move slow, but you shred through and rip through a lot of people, and you're immune to CCs. You know what? Actually, does that make it game winning? Yes, a Punisher can win you the game. We're gonna bump Punisher up here to this because now he's immune to stuns. He shields can't really help you because it's not a one time use. He's just gonna break through that. He's gonna rip through that. Um, yeah, you just gonna need a good healer pocket in you while you're doing it, and it's easy for them to heal too because you're moving so slow. You clear points. You just destroy teams, and it's so quick. They have to get behind cover. So I'd say it's borderline game winning. Borderline. I'm gonna leave him down here. It's arguably game winning. Bucky, unquestionably a game winning ult. On the other hand, you could say again as much times as you need to. It literally gets to a point where the team sits at spawn or sits far away from you, just waiting and counting down your ultimate. That's when you know your ultimate is good. When you have a whole 6-man team just waiting whilst you're progressing the point or whilst you're holding the point and saying to themselves, is this cooldown finished yet? Because the minute one person staggers or goes out there, he kills them and he has it again and it resets all over again. Winter Soldier, definitely game winning out. Crazy out. Wolverine, at first I would have put it in here, and that helps. I have a friend who swears by Wolverine. Uh, I'm clearly not as high on him as most people are, but I've been paying more closer attention to it since then, and it can be threatening. It is a threat, especially if you're a tank. It is a threat. It's a threatening ult. You can rarely you can get like 5, 6. You can get how many ever kills you want if the team is close together. It's not quite like Moon Knight because Moon Knight has a wide radius when he does that. But yeah, Wolverine. This is generally just the Wolverine thing. He's a threat. You have to pay attention to him. He's not, unless he's really, really cracked, he's not going to get that far. But he always is in the back of your mind, just waiting. Just got to watch him. He's there. Right? So that's it for the tanks and duelists. Right? Now we have all, we have one more duelist. But outside that, we have all healers. And this is probably where this is going to get filled up. Because we all know what kind of game Marvel Rivals is, and it's an alt fest. And the healers, defensive alts are just the best in the game. Now I say that, and I put a non-defensive alt up here, an Adam Warlock. But a perfectly executed Adam Warlock alt is crazy. It saves you time to get back to the point. Now you don't always have to try to go for the 6-man, the 5-man. Three mons are really good. And I feel like that's once you have three people down, I feel like that's when you then need to use this. Uh Even two mons, and in some rare cases, a pivotal one mon revive is really good because if you're having a 6v6, you guys got them on the breaking point. Someone overextends a little bit to get that one kill, but then they die. The game is now in a 5v5 state, but Adam Warlock can then bring that person back to put it in a 6v5, and the all six are now able to clear out the final five and win that altercation. Whereas it probably would have reached a standstill and you would have gone back to the 6v6, or maybe one of you guys would have lose one more guy, you know? So this is a game winning out. Once done correctly, Adam Warlock is game winning out. Cloak and Dag. Yeah, we really don't need to elaborate on it. Us against the world does not crazy damage, but it does crazy healings for your team, and it does enough damage that more often than not, people are gonna back off the point. But what it really shines in is it now gives Cloak free reign to go on attack without having to worry about healing his teammates. So now he's gonna blind a bunch of you guys. You guys are gonna take more damage, all while his team is temporarily practically unkillable. And now he's siphoning damage off you guys who's already taken more damage. So this is like a snowball ult. This is and it does win games. Going off of that, we also have Jeff. Now you may be saying that this is like low elo thinking, but the fact of the matter is, if from we've all been playing this game, if we've seen any ults religiously get 5 and 6K deaths, it's Jeff. And even if you don't have the time to throw them off the map, the simple fact that in like overtime scenarios, which the game frequently reaches in high levels, Jeff can literally just take most, if not the full team, off of the point and literally just hold them for overtime to run out, or even carry them for far enough back to spit them out, with time winding down for the game to then reach overtime, and then by the time as they reach the overtime runs out. And that's not even counting the kills. So Jeff Ult is a game winner by definition. I feel like he is the best showcase of what it is to be a game winning ult. Loki, by nature of his ult, he's in game winning because Loki has access to everyone's ultimate. So you could put Loki here, here, depending on who's in the game. But you're normally going to see him taking defensive ults, so he has access to whatever defensive ult he likes, or what is available to him in the game. Or if he needs, he can double up with some of these tide changing ults, or just single up with these tide changing ults if the team needs more firepower. So by nature, it's the best ult in the game. Luna Snow, the person who would argue against it being the best ult in the game, is her herself. It's just crazy because I was saying the other day, most people just use her ult as just a healing ult, but guys, the damage portion of it does 40% extra damage. If you guys are wondering what 40% extra damage looks like, that's the same amount of damage boost that Rocket Raccoon, this guy here, that's the same amount of damage boost that his ultimate does. And you can kill Luna Snow using that with a Punisher, if you guys didn't know. So please use the damage buff on Luna Snow ult. But anyways, coming back off of that tangent, yeah, she has the best healing ult in the game, and she has the best damage buffing ult in the game. 2-in-1. It's crazy. So once you get your team healed up, you just keep your eye on it, everyone health bar, but just let them deal damage and shred to their team too. And it moves, unlike Cloak and Dagger, where if you're playing something like the Convoy where you're pushing it up, once it moves out of that space, the ult is, either your team hangs back to stay in the ult, or it's just not available to them anymore. Luna Snow, on top of her having the longest ult in the game, she can walk and move with it. It's clearly the best ultimate in the game. Not even close. Now we have Mantis. It's similar to Luna's in execution and even on paper, it's similar in a lot of ways, but it's just not quite as strong. Luna one heals more quickly, and it can give a damage buff. And a next thing about it is it's more noticeable. Yeah, I'm pretty sure if you guys play Luna Snow, a lot of times you pop your ult, your team might not even recognize that you have the ult, and it takes a while for them to follow you. And that's as noticeable as ever. She has a stage, she's dancing on wide, big purple circle that's playing music. Mantis on that hand, she has a faint green outline. If you're on the enemy's team, a faint reddish outline. So unless you have comms, very rarely you have all of your teammates knowing that you have popped the Mantis ult. And it's not as strong as healing as Luna. As opposed to damage buff, she gives you a movement speed buff. And you're using it on the point or on the convoy anyway, so you don't really care about the movement speed. But all in all, it's a healing ult, it's a defensive ult. It's still really good. Just not quite up here with these ones. These are game winners. Mr. Fantastic is going to join our good friends Black Widow and Black Panther down here. You know, equal rights for everyone. So, this ult, the damage on it is so weak. And Mr. Fantastic doesn't get any extra health or any extra defense to even keep him alive in this. Like, for example, you slam on a penny mine, you die mid ult. It's like, it's just so bad. It doesn't do damage, it doesn't protect him. People still fight whilst you're doing it, don't even have to move. You just ignore it, bro. Only reason you know he's ulting is because he's just loud. He's just screaming, haha, Mr. Fantastic, but it's just bad all around. Uh, we have, yeah, let's do Rocket. Rocket Raccoon. Rocket Raccoon is an, it helps. Ultimately, he's going to get a lot of flack because he's a healer who doesn't have a healer ult. I believe he's the lowest ranked healer here, right? Who's the next one? Yeah, you don't see a next one until Mantis, which, in my opinion, you could argue Mantis is game winner. So for him to fall all the way from game winning and tie changing down to Ed helps. It sucks. You play with a rocket. If you're playing two healers, you have one less defensive ult. So if the team has two good defensive ults, most times, more often than not, that leads to you losing. And like I say, Luna Snow literally has his ult as a feature of her ult that people rarely use. So it's like, why play Rocket Raccoon? If we talk just from an alt standpoint, why play Rocket Raccoon when Luna Snow does the same thing and more, and hers is mobile? Like, so it's just, but it does help. It does give a damage buff. It's not quite bad as these. It helps the team, but I honestly can't justify putting it higher up here. It can be a threat, but it's so bad that it's just to the point that where it helps. Okay, next up. Last but not least, we have Susan Storm. Her ult, I feel like it's around Mantis level. You know, it's not quite as good as these ones, but she makes the team invisible and she gives crazy healing, which is alone enough reason for it to be a Pantai changer. Reason it's not in game winning is because one, it's it's a stationary healing ult, kind of like Cloak Dagger, but it doesn't damage the team. It just slows them down. So you even see, I know you guys may or may not have noticed it, but even when she pops her ult, most people run away from other defensive ults, right? People run into her invisible thing and just continue the fight there, even though you're not going to be able to kill the other opponents and stuff like that. It's going to be extremely hard, but it isn't as threatening as these game-winning ults by nature. People see it. You're healing your team a ton, which puts it all the way up here, but you're not really deterring the enemy team from the point. It doesn't really help you guys capture the point by running them off, but it does do that by healing. So that's why it's all the way up here in tide changing, but not right up here with the best ults in the game. But that being said, that's everybody. Uh, if you guys enjoyed the video, Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. I got a pretty good idea for a video coming out next week, so be sure to stay tuned and lock in for that. With that being said, see you guys next week.